Hello, everyone, and welcome to SCORE Fairfield County's live webinar on virtual assistants, deciding your next business move. I'm Bob Hogan, the webinar coordinator today and a business mentor here at SCORE Fairfield County. I'll be your host, and our presenter is Belinda Sandor, and more on Belinda in just a minute. First, some brief information on SCORE. SCORE is a nonprofit national partner of the SBA, and locally here at SCORE Fairfield County, we have over 100 volunteers with a wide range of industry, process, and subject matter expertise. And we offer three primary value-added services to small business owners. First of all, we offer free one-on-one individual counseling, and you can access that using the yellow bit.ly link on the screen, or you can go to our website and click on Request a Mentor. And we provide that by telephone, face-to-face, or by video. Secondly, we offer a wide range of business education programs like the one today, roughly about 100 throughout the year. And lastly, we offer extensive resources on our website, including access to subject matter experts. Our next live webinar is this Thursday, December 2nd at noon, and the topic is 2021 Small Business Tech Recap with Bud Freund presenting. And you can find specifics on our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org. We also have a large number of archived webinars on our website on a wide range of topics if you are looking to access different kinds of topics. Just some logistics about today's event. We have set aside time for Q&A at the end of the presentation, and Belinda will take them then. But if you have a question, you can ask the question at any time by typing it in using the Q&A button, which is at the bottom of your screen. Our webinar will end sharply at 1 o'clock today to respect your time. The session is being recorded, and a link to the recording, including the slides, will be available on our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org, within the next couple of days. It's now my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Belinda Sandor. Belinda is a business workflow and logistics expert with 25 years of experience and the founder of Rocket Girls Solutions. Rocket Girls Solutions is hired by small businesses on a contract basis to act as their part-time business manager. With a focus on helping her clients make more money, more efficiently, and with less stress, Belinda's past and current work includes streamlining and improving systems, online payment setup and management, social media engagement, website builds, and marketing automation. I'll now turn it over to Belinda. Belinda, it's all yours.
Thanks, Bob. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody, for coming. I want to start by telling you a little bit about me. Bob, that was a great introduction, but I want to get down to the sort of brass tacks, and that is, this is a picture of me and my daughter 11 years ago when I first started my business. And I was not in the best place of my career by far. I was struggling, I was getting divorced, I had all kinds of financial trouble. And the reason I want to tell you this is because I want you to understand that if you're here to learn about being a virtual assistant, I know some of you are here for that, and some are here to learn how to work with a virtual assistant. You can start this business at any time. It can be a side hustle. It can be something that you take on full time like I did. I knew that my back was up against the wall, and I either had to get a job or I had to make this work. So I wanted to be a mom, and I wanted to be at home with my daughter, and I also needed to provide for us. So virtual assistants in many ways, it kind of saved my life because it put me back in the driver's seat. It enabled me to make a living that I could be proud of so that I could support us. And it also gave me tons of flexibility in terms of when I could do the work. And I know that we're going to talk about, who are some of the best, or who typically succeeds in virtual assistants in a couple of minutes. But really what happened was, how I started was I just started telling everybody that I knew. So my first client I got at the school bus stop. I was telling the dads in the morning, what are you up to? Hey, I'm starting this business. I'm supporting small business owners, doing admin work. And one of the dads immediately said, oh my gosh, I just started a business. I had no idea. And then a few weeks later, I met someone in the line of a wedding buffet. Small talk. What do you do? What do you do? So it's a business that doesn't require a lot of upfront work to get started. You don't need a website. There's a lot of things that you don't need to get started. I didn't have any of those. And then, the money started coming in, and then I started investing in my business. So that's really, that's at the core of it, is that you are a business owner, and we're going to talk about that, but you can get started kind of at the school bus stop. All right. So I've been in business 11 years now, full time, and I've worked with over 225 clients. And that has been the education of a lifetime. There's no way I could have prepared for it ahead of time. I just had to be brave and find my confidence and just step into it, which is not easy to do, but it gets easier over time. And check this out. When I first realized this, I was completely blown away. So in a corner of my house, usually no wider than my desk, being a virtual assistant, and over the last 10 years, actually it's 10 years, I've made more than $1 million. I made $1 million. And doing things like updating PowerPoint presentations or updating websites, typing things, doing, turning Word documents into PDFs, so things that seem like they're so easy. Why would anyone pay for it? Well, we're going to talk about that, because people do pay for it, and they will pay a nice rate for it as well. We're going to talk about the specifics of money. Okay, so here's what it looks like now. So this is me. The reason I have 2 last names is I'm in transition at the moment. I just got married this summer, and the thing that's really interesting is that, and these are all of our kids. That's Emily sitting next to me, and that's Greg, my husband, and his 4 boys. The thing that was so interesting was, because when I started my business, I was just shy of being 50, and I was in such a mess. I couldn't see beyond it. And I just thought, even with being a virtual assistant, I was just going to need to, I kind of thought of it in my head, like, buckle up, buttercup, like, you made some choices. This is where you are, you're struggling. So just, get over it and get to work and see what you can do. But I never thought it would turn out like this. I had no idea. And one of my friends said to me, not that long ago, she said, if I would have told you back then that your daughter would be in great shape, that, your business was going to be thriving, that you're going to be happily married, that you're going to have all these kids in this blended family, chickens in your backyard, a garden, all the things that I really wanted, I would have told her she was crazy, because I was just so tired and so exhausted from the struggle. So I just hope that gives you a little bit of hope going into this, that even if you've tried a million other things, you can do this. So let's jump in. All right, so I want to tell you, so I am a virtual assistant. My business is called Rocket Girl Solutions. In addition to that, in 2019, I started an organization called the Virtual Assistant Connection. And the Virtual Assistant Connection is what it says right here, a professional online community. I need to update this slide. We have almost 17,000 members in 147 countries. And what I spend a lot of my time doing is educating people on how to be virtual assistants. I have a Facebook community. That's where the 17,000 people are. You can type the Virtual Assistant Connection at the top. Tons of free resources, webinar replays, blog posts. I do free trainings in there every single week. So if you're, sort of sniffing around and trying to figure out if you want to do this, that's a good place to find out. If you've been a VA for a while, it's nice to have a community around you, because this can be sort of lonely, being home alone in a corner of your house, making a lot of money. So I want you to know about that. So we're going to level the playing field here. We're going to talk about what is a virtual assistant, because in my experience in working with people who want to become virtual assistants, what I found is a lot of them think they have to do social media. And you don't have to do social media. You get to choose what it is you want to do. In fact, this morning, I was meeting with someone in my community on Zoom, just a quick check-in, and her question to me was, what are the services that I need to offer in order to make this work? And there's no set skills. When I started out, I knew Constant Contact, kind of. I knew Office, but not like a ninja, like someone who had a job and a company needed to type stuff, and like a tiny little sliver of HTML, and that was just because I was interested in it. So you just don't need to have this big giant set of skills to start. So here's what a virtual assistant is. A virtual assistant provides administrative, technical, or creative assistance to clients. but instead of working full-time for one person or organization, he or she works virtually, usually from home, providing these same services to a range of clients. So can you see how broad that is? Really broad. And the good news is, almost everything will fit into that. I've planned events for clients. They wanted to have a party and I was helping them with some other things. And I said, sure, because I know how to do that. I plan birthday parties. I can plan a corporate thing, so you just get to decide. And someone might say, well, that would be an event planner. Well, it could be a virtual assistant too. You could do bookkeeping. I know a lot of EAs who like bookkeeping, and that's one of their services. So you really can grow your skills over time and get started right away. So the key here is just you're working for a range of people wherever you want, and doing the services that you like. There are things that I definitely do not do. I can't write for other people. I cannot do graphics at all. And so I bring people in that help me with that. So someone says, hi, when you're first just starting out, how do you deal with clients who don't pay? How long do clients typically take to pay an invoice? Okay, we're gonna talk about that. I'm gonna show you the questions we're gonna talk about. And if I do not specifically answer that, please pop it up again, because that's really important, okay? Because there is a way to deal with it, and I'm gonna teach you how. All right, so here's the 7 questions that I'm going to answer today. In addition to that, I'll answer all of your questions, but this is where I'm headed, just so you know, okay? Are you ready to work on your own? What do I need to get started? Where do I get clients? How much money can I earn? That's when I'll answer your question. What training is required? Can I work part-time? And who hires virtual assistants? Okay. Now, if you think you don't have the background to do this, let me show you who makes great virtual assistants. Okay. Stay-at-home parents and caregivers. Military spouses, right? Because you don't have to be anywhere specifically, right? You can be wherever you want. Let's see. Corporate employees and travel lovers, right? Who want location independence. They want to work wherever they are, and they want to replace their full-time income. You can do that. Empty nesters, right? So moms and dads who were caretakers of their kids, and now all of a sudden, I'm there, and my daughter's in college, and for a couple of minutes, I was like, whoa, what just happened? And it can fill that gap, and it can be the time for you now, right? Students and employees, definitely students. My only regret about virtual assistants is that I didn't know about it sooner. Mid or late career professionals, there are many people that I've trained who, it's later in their career, and if they get laid off or let go, it's hard to get a job again. Let's just say it. If you're 50 or 60 years old, that's not the prime of your, getting hired time. At least that's what I've seen in my experience. So it's a really good pivot. And then, people who want that time freedom. A lot of VA work, you can do it 2 in the morning, you can do it at 2 in the afternoon. It doesn't really matter. It's just about getting it done for the deadline. And then people who are lifelong learners, because I learn something new almost every day. And I have to tell you, it's so satisfying for me. I really love that feeling of learning new things. So if that's you, the other, who else I think makes a great VA is a teacher. There are many people who have retired from teaching, and it's the sort of same skill set, organizing, grouping, problem solving, herding children, herding clients, all that. A lot of that is the same. All right, so let's dive in. Okay, so the first question that I want to talk about is, are you ready to work on your own? Because that is important. Are you ready to do that? And are you ready to be a business owner? Because in order for this to be successful, and make a serious living doing this, you can't think of yourself as somebody's helper. You really need to be strategic. Somebody said to me today, the woman I was talking to earlier, she said, well, how do you get your clients to raise how much they're paying you? And I said, you raise your rates and you let them know. Like, you are in charge of your business. Just like you wouldn't go into a toy store and say to something that's $15, I'll give you $1.50. Here's a better example. Your dentist. we typically don't negotiate with our doctor or dentist on how much something, how much they charge. And if you come across with confidence, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, everyone's not a fit, for how you're running your business, but that's okay, because you can't take on everyone that needs a VA, because there's millions of people. But at the core of this is wanting to be a business owner, wanting to think about your, how you're getting clients, wanting to think about your pricing, wanting to think about how you're organizing your day. It's not something that done casually is successful. The second thing is, are you self-guided? If you're a person who's going to wander around your house all day and not have the discipline to sit down, again, it's going to be hard to make any money doing this. So you need to be able to say, all right, this is my schedule. This is when I'm going to be working, and really be self-guided, disciplined, and realize what has to be done, and realize, what will happen. It's really, what's the cost if you're not, and that is, you won't be able to succeed at this. And then, so let's talk about risk. Risk is kind of interesting, because when I first started my business, I had a 17-year corporate career, and I enjoyed it. And I thought, am I crazy not to get another job? Because what about the 401k? What about the health benefits? What about all that stuff? And here's the thing, I saw friends of mine be laid off and not be able to find a job easily, many of them. And maybe it's our age, maybe it's, we're aged out. I don't know. I don't feel aged out, but the thing is that when you have a job, you have something that I call a single point of failure called your boss or HR. They could just decide, we're not going to do that anymore. Or in my case, I got laid off after 9/11. They did not need me, because the things that happened after 9/11 and the business I worked in no longer existed. There was no money for that. So that single point of failure, and often you do not see it coming. So you're maybe, planning your life to go one way and it's going another way. So keep that in mind. And one of the things I want to make sure I say, so I'm going to say it right now, is that a lot of times people think, well, what about health insurance? And I just mentioned that. And I talked to a successful entrepreneur who helped me a lot get my business started. And he said, now I'm going to say it, and then you're going to laugh, and then I'll tell you what I mean. He said, just make more money and pay for it. And maybe you won't laugh. I was in shock. I'm like, what are you talking about? Make more money and pay for it, And he said, yeah, just make more money and pay for it. And I did. I thought, oh, this isn't me being punished or I have to pay for my health insurance. I thought, let's just, go after this, make some money. And I pay well over $1,000 every month for my daughter and I have been for years, for health insurance. So that's why it's important to take this seriously as a business. I don't want to scare you. It's not something that most people can't do. I think most people can. It's just really making the decision, I'm going to go for it. And that's what I did when I started. I decided I was going to go for it. Okay. So think about that for sure. Okay, so what do you need to get started? What you need to get started is a place where you can work, and it's dedicated. And what I mean by that is, it's not the dining room table and you're packing your stuff up all the time. It's not, the guest room, but your mom comes to visit for 2 months every summer. It's not that. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be really wide, much wider than like this, much wider than your desk. And for years, I worked in a bay window in the dining room, which was okay because I could straighten my desk if we needed to use the dining room. And I was okay with that. It was in a corner of my bedroom that was sort of tucked away. It was in a little nook in the spare kind of bedroom in my house for a long time. So it's just been since March of 2020 when I realized the kids are not coming back. It's time to take that middle bedroom and make it my office. And I love that. But all of that success that I had happened really, on a dining room table that I got at a tag sale, in a small part of my office. Of my house. So you need that, because you need to be able to sit down and work and handle whatever happens, the dog, whatever, you get up and it's still here. You need to be able to do that. And you also need to be able to have quiet, and focus, because that's really important to doing a good job. The other thing you need to be able to do is articulate what you do. Because when people are first starting out in business, what typically happens is someone will say, what do you do for work? And if we're not really clear, like an attorney, people have no idea what we're talking about. So what we do is we talk, and then the person has no idea what you're talking about. And I'm going to help you with the solution to that at the end. I have a free training I'm going to tell you about, but that is one of the things you need to be able to do. You need to be able to clearly articulate what you do so that people will know, so they could remember, so that they can tell other people about you, because they will. Think about it. If you had coffee with a friend and they said, oh my gosh, I have the worst toothache, the first thing I would say is, do you like your dentist? I love my dentist. Do you want his phone number? You know, and they do the same thing. My email inbox is a mess. My website needs this. I need a presentation, whatever it is. Oh, Belinda can help you with that. And it happens all the time. It happens all the time. So you need to be able to talk about it. You also need to be clear about your pricing. And both of these things, once you're clear, you have to practice saying it out loud. And the reason is because when we talk about money, we do the same thing. You know, we talk too much. The person is just trying to process what we're saying, and we're already giving them a discount, you know, because we're so panicked about it. So it is very important to be able to talk about your pricing. So here's how it works for me. And I'm gonna answer this now. I'm gonna answer this now for the person in the chat. So here's how mine works. I have something called the Rocket Girl debit card. It's a prepaid debit card. All right. People prepay my time, and in 5 or 10 hour chunks, they pay me before I start to work. They pay me before I think about them. And then I do the work, and as the time goes away, every Monday morning, I send them an email with a link to buy more time. And it tells them you have 10 hours left, you have 9 hours left, you have 8 hours left. So I haven't sent an invoice to a client for, well, I don't know, 10 years. So what happens is they buy it on my website. You can do it directly on PayPal. There's a million ways you can do this. They get an invoice or a receipt, right? So no paperwork for me, and it's all done. So I have been getting paid up front from the beginning. I started with the credit cards and the sort of virtual debit card about 10 years ago. Before then, I got paid by check because the world was different 11 years ago. And then I didn't want to pay the fees, but then I realized that I was losing money and slowing everything down because I was waiting for checks. So when I talk about my pricing, well, all right, I'm going to hold the rest of that until we get to the pricing slide, okay? But that's how that works. All right, so clients are everywhere. You cannot believe the places that I've found clients, or that they found me, actually. We'll talk about that. So the first client I said at the school bus stop, the second client at a wedding buffet line. My biggest client, how I found him was, I was on a team with one of my existing clients, and there was a guy on the team, his name is David, and I really liked the way he handled it. He's a developer, owned his own business, he was very professional, and we sort of collaborated because he was handling part of the client and I was handling another part, and we really collaborated well, and we agreed with the solutions that we came up with. And after the project was over, I said, hey, let's talk, because I really like you, and I don't know if I said that, but you know, I liked working with you. I'm sure I did say that. And I want to see if there's ways we can collaborate in the future, because that was a lot of fun. And he said, sure. And we got on the phone and we talked, and we realized, you know, there's too much crossover. This was kind of unusual that we could work together on 2 separate pieces, because I knew how to do what he did and he knows how to do what I did for the most part. And then, I don't know, a year later, I get an email from him introducing me to somebody who needed an email newsletter. And David didn't like doing email newsletters. So this guy, Bob, hired me, and he's probably $17,000 to $25,000 of my revenue every year, just from sort of collecting people, staying in touch with them, being clear about what I do, so that David could remember. And as soon as Bob said newsletter, David said Belinda, and here we go. And really, I don't know how long I've been working with Bob, but I was thinking about that yesterday. 4 or 5 years, long time. All right, so clients are everywhere. So you want to be clear about what you do, as I just illustrated, and you want to tell everybody. You just want to tell everybody. And there are a lot of different ways to tell people. And the way that I do it is a system. At the core of it is I send out an email newsletter. And when I was very focused on growing my Rocket Girl business, I sent one out every other week. And what would happen is people would see what I was talking about. They would, see my expertise, what I could help them with. And then there's a link to get on my calendar. They get on my calendar, we talk, we decide if we're a good fit, and we go from there. So they really are everywhere. And there's some tricks too. Like when I went to the dry cleaner for the first time, when I moved to Connecticut, I was opening an account. I was talking to the owner and he said, "What's your address?" And I had a business card right there. I pulled that card out and I said, "Here, this will make it easier for you." And he says, "Oh, what's Rocket Girl Solutions?" And I had my one sentence ready to go. "This is what I do." He remembered. He said, "Do you do this?" And I said, "I do that." He said, "I think I need some help with that." And I said, "Great, let's set up a time to talk." We did. He hired me. He bought 20 hours, I think. So you just want to gracefully, slide it in wherever you can, because clients really are everywhere. Okay, so Angela, great question. How do you track your time and what's the minimum time you charge for? I track my time. So I have a notebook right here. And what I do is I work on one client at a time. So I'll say, okay, I'm going to do, this person, and I write their name. This is just a scratch pad. It's a Rocket book. Write their name, write what time I started, and then I open everything up that I need, and I do all of the work. And if I can, I do all of the work that is on my plate for them, or at least what needs to be done that day. And then I close all the stuff down, and then I look at the clock, and then I track the time in a tool called Toggle. I just go right over. It's open on a tab in my browser constantly, like never closes. And I do that all day long as the day progresses. So that's how I do it. So the minimum is, I'll just give it to you, the basics. If someone asks me a quick question and it takes a minute, I charge them for 5, unless we're going back and forth and I've already sort of, included that in rounding up. If they ask me a question, and because typically it's an email that most of my requests come. If they ask me and I need to think about it, like it's not just, "Oh yeah, we already did that." It's like I have to give it some thought. It's 10 minutes. If I have to open software and start doing a little research, it's 15 minutes. And as time has gone by, I've gotten much, much faster. So that's how I do it. Now, if we're in a meeting and we meet for an hour, it's an hour. If we meet for 25 minutes, it's 25 minutes. So anything over that 15 minutes is what it actually is. I never track like 38 minutes. That would be 40 minutes. That was a hard part of my transition to being a business owner and a VA, is that I felt a little queasy about that. Like, how do I do that? And lawyers bill in like, I don't know, 15-minute or 6-minute increments or something like that. And it's a fine line, because you're having a relationship with the client and you want them to not feel taken advantage of, because that doesn't feel good. And you want to be fair. So that's how I came up with this 5, 10, 15-minute thing. I've never been explicit. If a client asked me, I would answer them, but I don't say to them, "Well, this is how it's going to work." What I say is, I'll bill you for the time that we use. And if it's, and 61 minutes we're on the phone, I bill them for an hour, so it would just be more work for me to do that. And I always want them to look and say, "Yeah, I got value for that time. That was good." Okay. Julie has a question. Do you focus on a specific industry? No, I do not. However, that's a really good question, because a lot of people are told that they need to have a niche. And I found when you're starting out that that's kind of a fantasy, because like, unless you've been a wedding planner for 25 years and you want to serve the wedding planning industry and a lot of wedding planners, like where would you go to find them? That would be really hard. So what I did was I worked with small business owners, and I worked with service providers, like consultants, financial planners, coaches, people like that. And that seemed to be, that the service professional, solo professional, so mostly works on their own and provides a service. That is what turned out to be my niche, and not really industry specific. So I do website updates, email newsletters, things that are necessary across all the industries. I have found, though, that there are some industries that are not a good fit for me. People who don't work at a desk, like real estate agents, or I had a client for a while, he installed flooring. I have another client who installs shades. And it's not that I can't help them, it's just that they're never at their desk, and these particular people, and they're not thinking about working on their business. And that's what I do. I help them work mostly on their business. Okay. So I hope, and I didn't realize that for a long time. So yeah, I didn't realize that for a long time. I just was looking for people I liked, who I could do the work that was enjoyable, who would pay me what I wanted to get paid. That was sort of my niche for a while. Did you say something like toggle to track your time? Yes, it's spelled TOGGL.com, and it's a free tool. You do not need the paid one, and you track your time. Okay, so let's jump over. Thank you for those questions. All right, so let's jump over to the next question. Okay, so how much money can you earn? The first year I was in business, I earned $70,000. The most I ever made as a VA was 146. And the reason that I made so much money that year was I had started my business in Boston. I moved to Connecticut, and I didn't have any friends. I had Greg, I had my daughter, I had his family, but all my friends were in Boston. And so I just was meeting people like crazy because I was looking for my people. I was looking for, networking group, but it wasn't my business was solid. I was in year, I don't know, 4 or 5. I had been clipping right along, had a steady stream of clients, but I wanted friends. And what happened was, because everybody I met asked me what I did, either one of two things happened, like, oh, I need you, or, oh, someone needs you. And it wasn't that I was getting hired in that red hot second, but I was planting the seeds. And then what happened was I published this newsletter I mentioned to you, and I asked them, can I put you on my list? I consistently provided the newsletter with valuable content, not selling them anything. And that's how I made so much money that year. I didn't do anything differently. I didn't raise my rates. It was just, I got out in front of a lot of people, and I wasn't trying to sell any of them. It was just telling them what I do. I'm a dentist. I'm a this. I'm a virtual assistant. I work with solo professionals. I help them with all the back end admin of their businesses, like email newsletters, website updates, and PowerPoint presentations, things like that. And then I stop talking and I have a conversation with them, instead of trying to figure out what to say in that moment to get hired, which a lot of us do because we're uncomfortable. That's what happens. All right. So that gives you a range. You can also do a part-time, easily, and still make a good living. So this question, this is probably going to surprise you. The amount of money you can earn depends on your skills, but it's really more of the skills of being on time, following up, hitting deadlines, that kind of thing, versus knowing some specific software and your confidence. Can you say, I charge $50 an hour, and look someone in the eye, and so that's why I needed to practice a lot and come up with sort of a script so that you when you're talking about your work and you're talking about money, you want it to sound like it's just an answer. Now, here's what I mean. If someone, I'm trying to think of a good example. If someone said to you, okay, here's an example. If someone said to you, when is Christmas? You would say December 25th, right? That's the answer. If someone asks you what you do, you need to have an answer. It's not a surprise question. If someone asks you what you charge, it's not a surprise question. So you want to say it with the same confidence that you say December 25th. I charge $90 an hour. And then you stop talking, because that's where we get in trouble right there. So that's an important thing. So it does depend on your confidence more than probably anything. So let me tell you what I did. I started out like I said, 11 years ago, and I'd been in corporate and I made roughly $100,000, a little bit more. I didn't really think about benefits and stuff, but I thought, I'm making about 50 bucks an hour in corporate. And I thought, my brain is my brain. I'm a problem solver. I can find solutions. I've done a lot of diverse things. I didn't really have a specialty because every job I had, they threw me into like, fix that, fix that. I'm like, okay. So I thought my brain is $50 an hour. And I did have someone saying to me, that's fair. I think that's fair. So that's what I did. I started at $50 an hour. And then what I did was I got a handful of clients, like maybe 5 or 6. And then I thought, okay, this is good. This is good. And so then I raised it to 60. And when I raised it to 60, I had to practice talking about it all over again because I was so nervous and I was pretty sure that like the sky was falling. That was my last client. I'm going to have to embarrass myself and lower my rate again, but that did not happen. I went all the way to $120 an hour. The year that I did that, and no advertising, no cold calling, social media, minimal, it's really doesn't have to be about that. But what happened was when I made did I say one? Yeah, 120. I brought on 26 new clients, so that was great. However, they were treating me like I was too expensive. They were, you go to an attorney and they're charging you by the second and you just get right to the point. This is what I need. I was losing that relationship and I was actually making less money because my clients weren't using me as much. So what I did was I lowered it. I let all the people that were at 120, they kind of went away over time. And I lowered it to $90 and $100 an hour. And that's been where I've been for the last probably 5 years. And that's a level where my clients can afford it. They appreciate the value and they don't ever complain. They happily buy more time, if their business is continuing to prosper. So that's what I did. It really is about confidence. So here's a couple of questions. Can you give me some examples of what you do to help run their businesses? Yes, absolutely. That's a great question. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to think what I do. Okay, here's an example. I have a client, the one that I met in the wedding line, Michael, his name is Michael. We do events together, just like this event. So what'll happen is he'll say, hey, let's have a webinar. And I'll say, hey, okay. And we're still doing these together 11 years later. So he writes the promotional email. I make sure it gets sent out. I set up the credit card processing so that, which sounds really big and scary, but it's not once you figure it out. And then what happens is they get an email saying you're registered. And then I show up the day of the webinar and I'm on the webinar just like this. And if someone has a question, I funnel the question to him. It was really scary at first, but I got used to it. And then I download the recording and I upload it to the website and I send everyone the replay and the slides. So that's something I do a lot. I also do website updates, meaning someone wants to change their bio. So that's copying and pasting words. The client thinks it's like magic because they have no idea, but you just literally copy and paste the words into their website, make sure it's okay, and then let them know. Clients will come to me with PowerPoint presentations that are kind of messy. This is one of my favorite things. And what I'll do is make sure that, like you'll notice, hopefully with my slides, whenever I click them, that the header's in the same place. So it's not like going like this, because that's really distracting. And this box right here, these words are in the same place. So I'm moving things around and putting their logo in the same place. I'll have a client losing their mind. There's some red line in some presentation and it's in the slide master and they don't know what that is. So I literally open it, click, remove it, send it back to them. And they're like, yeah, so it's just, and it's not, I want to be clear. My clients are smart, successful people. They just don't know how to do this. They don't know how to do this and they value it. They value it a lot. So I'm trying to think of other examples. Scheduling. I had my client, Bob, who I was talking about, he would say to me, this is pre-COVID, he would say, I'm going to LA for a week. Here's all the people I want to meet with. And he would send an email to them that said, hey, Joe, I'm going to be in LA. I'd love to meet with you. Belinda will follow up. And then I would reply all, hey, Joe, these are the times Bob's available. And then I would put it on his calendar. And if they were in-person meetings, I would figure out how long it took to get in between places with Google Maps, and set a schedule. So things like that. So many things, so many different things, and a lot of times clients will train you, or you'll figure it out together, systems that work. And we're going to talk a little bit about that at the end, when we talk about working with a virtual assistant. So training that's required. All right. So one of the things, if you're interested, you can go to the vaconnection.com and scroll down a little bit. There's a yellow box right in the middle, and it says the ultimate virtual assistant money-making task list. What you can do is you can download that. I think it's 12 pages of all the things that you can do as a VA. So that will give you a starting list. Now, this is not a list designed for you to read it, freak out, and think, I can't do any of these things, because you don't need to. This is just to jiggle your memory. You can also look at your resume, like, what did I do? Like, what did I do? All right. So you can download that. And then it's really more about the business of running a business, like setting your prices, deciding when you're going to work, deciding, figuring out how much money you want to make, setting a schedule, setting boundaries with clients, all of those things. Those are really important. So Angela says, I was planning to increase my rate for new clients, but keep the current rate for existing clients. Yes, I would do. That's exactly what I did. And then what you'll want to do is circle back around, so for example, if, one client's at 30 and then raise it to 40. And then when you go to 50 on that new client, maybe scoot this one up to 40, and clients go away too. So, and that's okay. I couldn't handle 225 clients, all the people I've ever worked with. They come in and out, their businesses change, they retire, they decide they don't want to do this anymore, they stop making money, whatever. So, it's very fluid, but that's what I would do. Okay, great. Okay, so part-time, can I work part-time? Yes, you can absolutely work part-time. You need to consider the work. My work with Bob, for example, it's almost as if I'm outside his door. I have a meeting with him right after this, and if he emails me something, I answer him usually within an hour. He knows that I'm sitting here and I'm working. And so you wouldn't want him as a client, because he's not going to be happy if you don't answer him from Tuesday to Thursday afternoon. He's going to think you got hit by a car. Okay. So you want to make sure you think about the type of work, but there's a ton of work that the client gives you the email newsletter to set up for them on Monday, and they're not publishing till Friday. That gives you 5 days, to do it. And it doesn't matter what time. So you want to set the expectations, and you want to keep a consistent schedule. Really important. I have people that work with me on my team, and I need to know, not as a virtual assistant for the VA connection, they're supporting that. And I need to know when I can talk, when they're available, when the work will be done, when I can ask questions. And a consistent schedule is very important. It's a peace of mind thing, and it's an important piece, very important. All right, so I just want to say that, everybody has the ability to hire a virtual assistant. Like I said, I have virtual assistants on my team, small business owners, authors, financial planners, so many industries. All right, so I want to now shift for just a minute and talk about if you want to hire a VA. I gave this a lot of thought. One of the things that I teach the VAs in the VA connection is how to do something I call reverse delegating. And that is when your client is not good at delegating, how do you get what you need without torturing them to do a good job? Because what I'm about to suggest that you do when you work with a virtual assistant, a lot of people are not good at it, and it makes it challenging. It definitely makes it challenging. So what happens typically is an entrepreneur will get really busy. They'll have some little stash of money, they just sold a bunch of stuff, and then they say, I need help, I need help. And they're not really sure what they need help with. And they come to you and say, how can you help me? I have no idea. Like, you have to figure out, what do you need help with? Now, that's not to say, well, what I would say when people say that to me is, well, where are the mistakes being made? What are the challenges you're having? What are the things that are driving you crazy? And let's handle that. Okay. So there's not some magic formula. Every business is different. Every single one. Every single one. You want to think about what your expectations are, because you're going to be picking this person. So you want to know ahead of time, do I need them to be available during the day, or can they work at night or on the weekends? How often am I going to meet with them? How's that all going to work? So you need to have a little meeting with yourself, just like if you were hiring an employee, you want to consider these things. You want to think about how you're going to onboard them, because there are some clients who the work, it's felt like they drove by my house and threw the work in the driveway. That doesn't work. It's just like a total mess. So you want to think about, how are you going to onboard them? How are you going to train them? Because you're going to have to do that. There are kind of two kinds of VAs. So there's a specialist, which I probably now, but I didn't in the beginning, fall into that category, where if someone says, I want to do an email newsletter, I say, great, this is what we're going to do. And I guide the whole process. But most of my work is not like that. Most of my work, the client says, can you take these certificates and put the student's name on them and export them and save them as a PDF in this folder? Like, they're very specific. And so you have to be willing to have that conversation and think it through. So when you're really busy is a good, fine time to bring someone on, but you just have to consider you're about to get a little busier. The thing, though, is that if you're committed to working through the kinks, this is really such a beautiful thing, because so my inclination when I have people working with me is, if I know how to fix it when they don't do it right, is I just do that. The problem is the person doesn't learn, and then you're still doing it, and eventually you're going to get mad and you're going to be thinking, like, why am I even doing this? Right? So you have to be able to have a communication mechanism. We use a Google Doc where I ask my team, can you do this? Can you do that? And we'll have a conversation, or Loom Video. I don't know if you know about Loom Video, but Loom Video is a free video service. I make Loom videos all day long for my team, because if I say, can you update this thing on the website right here, they could misunderstand that, and it's happened. So what I do, turn off this, turn off the camera, click the button. Hey, can you please put this graphic here? Here's the URL for the example. I'd like it to look like this. And if you could have it done by tomorrow, that would be great. They can watch it 20 times. It's great. And you can create a training library. So you really want to think about delegating, making sure that you find the right person. You want to, I don't know if this is on the slide. Let's just see. It's not. So you want to make sure you have a test period where you work together. I always do this for people on my team. I give them what's called a test task. I pay them, and I just see, how does that go? Like, are they responsive? Are they answering me? Is the work clear? Are they causing more work? Am I, and I always look at the system. Before I say this is not the right person, I say, if the system is broken, something is going on. And if the system gets fixed and it's still not working, then I have to look at who I'm working with. But you always want to look at the system. So where do you find them? That's a really good question. 100% of my clients are referrals. So I would ask people, do you know a VA? Do you know a VA? Do you know someone that can help me? And then if you want my help, I don't charge, this is not part of my business model, but if you go to the vaconnection.com, you scroll down, it says, hire a VA. If you want to fill that out, I have a community, not the 17,000 people, a smaller community that I'll post that for you. And then the investment. What I mean by that is, how much do you pay a VA? Some VAs will work for $15 an hour, and I work for $100 an hour. So I don't think that the amount they charge has that much to do with, well, it has to do maybe with where they live, because it's a place with a lower cost of living. They think they can't charge what they want, or people who haven't stepped into their confidence yet to charge what they want. But 30, 40, 50, that's sort of I am definitely at the high end. And when potential clients, when I talk to them and they say, you're on the high end, I say, you're right, I am. And then I stop talking because they're right, I am. But I don't justify it. This is my price. A Ferrari is this much and a Ford Focus is that much. It's just people have made their different products, different expectations. So, that's, I hope that answers your question. All right, so let me see. We've got a couple more questions. What type of insurance do you have to cover your business? I do not have insurance, but if you call your insurance person, like whoever you get your car insurance from, they'll either be able to help you or they will guide you to someone who can help you. When I teach my class on being a VA, I bring an insurance expert in because I'm not qualified to talk about that and give you any advice. And do I have VAs working with me? I do. So I created an agency it was me and a couple of VAs, and I didn't like it. It didn't work out. It was stressing me out. And so I don't do that anymore. It's just more my style. I'm an individual contributor. I like to do the work myself. And there was a lot of things I just couldn't delegate, like I was just in a meeting, I can't delegate that. Then when I started the VA Connection, which is what I'm going to invite you to event in a minute, what I did was I had to have a team supporting me. So I have all kinds of people doing graphics and writing and admin work and website work because I'm not able to support that community and teach and also do all the back end things as well. And they're amazing. And we've built some really great systems.
We'll use the rest of the time for questions. We do have a couple more, but just a reminder to people, if you have a question, you can type it into the Q&A box and we'll take as many as we can until the top of the hour. There is a question here. Are there specific tools a VA needs to start business professionally?
Thank you. Yes, you need a computer and you need a phone. That's it. And you need Microsoft Office.
Yeah, I think that's a minimum. And a related question about contracts. Do you have contracts with clients? I think you alluded a little bit to that with your debit card, but maybe you can elaborate on that.
Sure. Yeah. I do not have contracts. And the reason I don't have contracts is because I would have to, if the client walked away from the contract, I have to sue them, and I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to do that for $900. It would cost me more than that. So I don't have contracts. We do have an agreement, an understanding. Once someone buys the debit card, that's 5 or 10 hours, I send them an email. This is when I'm at my desk. This is my phone number. It's okay to call me. This is how this works. And I've explained all of this to them already. But then I reiterate it in an email that I had. I'm not a great writer, so I had someone look at it and edit it. And I use the same one. I've been using the same one for, 7 years. And I explain how, explain how it works. And I haven't had any trouble with that. So
maybe a follow-on or related one to that. Are there clients where you've terminated the relationship because they haven't followed the agreement?
Yes. It's more, it's more about preference than being able to point to something. Like there was a client who she really felt like she was throwing her work out her car window in my driveway. And I just said to, that's not in the letter of agreement, but I just got her on, on the phone. And I said, I don't feel like I'm not able to be a part of what you're doing. Our styles are really different. And, I think it's time for me to step away. I fired a lot of clients, a lot out of 220, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 over 11 years. It doesn't happen a lot, but sometimes it's just not a good fit. For another client I had, he was growing a team and I had to work with people I didn't enjoy and they didn't know what they were doing. And I just really didn't like it. And so I just got him on the phone and said, I'm not really, I don't really like to be a part of a big team. And his response was, okay, so what things can we take away from you? So you still work with me, but you don't have to talk to them. So, but I was ready to walk away. And he decided he didn't want that to happen. So that was great.
Follow-up question from Angela on your email agreement. Would you be willing to share your email agreement wording?
You know what, if you join, I'm thinking about distribution here. If you join the VA Connection Facebook group, it is in there and I will share that with you for sure. I want to just change this because I know we're answering questions, but I'm just really quickly, 5-day free challenge on how to get a steady stream of clients. The majority of what I taught you today, what we talked about, I'm going to spend an hour on how to pick your services, how to talk about your work, where clients are, and the systems you need. So no obligation, 5 days. And then during that time, I'm going to open the doors to my school, VA school. And so if you want to continue to work with me, you can, but I'd love to have you join us. And that's where you can do that. Would you be willing to share your, can you?
The last one, sorry, what software you use to purchase time?
Okay, so that's a good question. You can do it a million different ways. Here's the concept, okay? The concept is people prepay your time, you let them know how much they have left, and you do the work and you track it, and then you give them a link to buy more time. Okay, so that's the concept. So what you can set up many mechanisms for people to buy your time. You can say, hey, send me a check. You can give them a link to PayPal. You could use Business Venmo. You could use Stripe or Square. You know, there's a million different ways. I use a WordPress plugin called Gravity Forms, and I use Stripe as my credit card processor. But you can do it a million different ways. But it's the whole concept of getting paid up front.
That's great. Actually, I think we're out of time, so that's all the time we have for questions. Just as a reminder to people, the webinar has been recorded and the materials will be available within a day or so on our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org, under on-demand webinars. And our next live webinar is on Thursday, December 2nd at noon, and the topic is 2021 Small Business Tech Recap with Bud Freund presenting. And again, if you'd like to take advantage of free individual counseling, you can use the yellow bit.ly link on the screen, or you can go to our website and request a mentor. Please fill in your valuations for us. They're very helpful. And on behalf of SCORE, I'd like to thank you all for attending our live webinar today. And in particular, a special big thank you to Belinda for presenting. And stay well, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.